The world is full of distractions that keep us from doing the things we love, or the things that really give us purpose. And sculpting miniatures is not exempt from this. In fact, you might feel that it's even easier to get distracted from sculpting miniatures. I mean, you have to have an area set up, mix your putty, your clay. There's so many things that are easier to get started with. Well, in today's video, I'm going to share with you some of the distractions I'm dealing with and what I'm doing to help get over them and get back to sculpting miniatures. Hey, I'm Tom, and I help people realize their dream of sculpting miniatures. In fact, I've made a guide, the ultimate quick start guide to sculpting miniatures, that you can get by downloading from the link in the description below. It's a great way to help you get started or teach you some extra tricks if you already have begun on your journey. Are you distracted? Because I know I'm distracted. Whether it's some miniatures I want to paint, the never-ending sculpting projects I can dream up, life, day jobs, there's so many things that can get in the way and keep you from sculpting miniatures. The idea that I've been distracted has really hit me hard recently. Since 2020, I have had this pattern of doing a bunch of sculpting work or launching a Kickstarter, usually towards the end of the year. Seems like that's when I do a lot of my work. And then by the end of December, maybe spilling a little bit into January, I stop sculpting. Literally stop sculpting. Until this year, this was the earliest I'd ever started back up, but I wouldn't sculpt until June of each year. This year I did make it to May. I did some sculpting in May and have continued on. And I think what really gets me going with that is I'm realizing the year's half over. I've got to do something. I've got to get some of these projects going. I always feel like I needed to decompress, have some fun, but it's very easy to let those things run away. Nothing wrong with them, but you don't want them to run away from you because we want to still sculpt miniatures, make some cool things. Well, one of the things I did last year as a big project that I really liked and I wanted to do again this year was Inktober. I did the Goblin Menace. I wanted to work on more of that world and start to build it up, give myself some inspiration and to refocus on that. And in fact, I did Inktober last year successfully, all 31 days, while I was preparing to launch the Frog Night Kickstarter. So again, did both of those, fell into the same pattern, got into all these distractions, and by the time I got to May, I was sculpting a couple freelance pieces, and I was thinking about what I wanted to do this year, but I didn't have anything really concrete. But Inktober was coming up, and I had a lot of fun, and I wanted to do that again. But when I really sat down to think about it, I thought, what do I really want to do? Yes, I would like to get better at drawing and have a lot more illustrations to utilize with the Goblin Menace in the future, but that's not what I'm about. I'm about sculpting miniatures and making games and things like that. While I was in the middle of September, I was working on my thumbnails. I got about a third of the way through. I had to make a really hard decision to whether or not I was going to move forward with it or not. And when I sat down and really thought about it, I knew I had to refocus my efforts, clear out distractions, and get back to sculpting miniatures. With that said, here are the 3 things that I'm doing to beat distractions and get back on track with sculpting miniatures. Number 1 is planning. I'm a planner, and not everybody is, but for me, it really helps me to, before I get started, to just sit down with a notebook, start writing things out, weigh the pros and cons of what I want to work on, what I want to do, and really try and break it down step by step so that I have an action plan and a way forward. What this also helps me do is really look at the end game. It helps me dial in and focus on what's really important. So for me this year, especially to the end of the year, I want to be getting out videos more consistently. I want to work on the Goblin Menace. And I have a secret project that's focused here that's going to help people a lot with their sculpting journey. All right, number 2 is cleaning up and organizing. Some people say, creatives need a messy creative space in order to create and develop. I can see that, but for me, it ends up just being a distraction. I'll go to my work table and I'll have 3 different miniature painting projects, several different sculpts, concept art sketches. Everything's laid out, and I can't get myself to just focus and spend time working on the one thing that will allow me to move the needle and get things going to where I want them to actually be. Sculpting, having more miniature releases, having more content for this channel. By organizing my workspace, I can get it all cleaned up and just have the one thing there that I need to work on. It's ready to go. There's nothing else to distract me. I just sit down and I get to work. Now you'd think number 3 would be easy, because if you've gone ahead and done the planning and you got everything organized and set up so there's no excuses, you can just sit down and work. The third thing is just set some time to do the work. This is so important to me, to be able to get things done, because if I don't set some specific times, it's so easy to let the day roll on. I'm an early riser. I like to do my creative work first thing in the morning when I have the most energy and I haven't been worn down by the day. But even then, if I don't specifically set that I'm going to do this thing in the morning, it's very easy for me to just wake up and kind of not be sure about what I'm going to do. So the night before, I think about what I'm going to do, I write it down, and then I commit to doing it at least for whatever time period, half an hour, then I'm going to do it in the morning. I also think it's a really good idea to set specific time to do your fun things. One thing that really weighs on me when I'm trying to kill it too much, when I'm trying to really nail all these projects down and achieve stuff, I inevitably start feeling worn down, like I never get to have any fun or do anything. So don't forget to leave some time, give yourself some room, breather, to have some fun. Paint some miniatures if that's what you want to do, play a video game. Just don't let it spill over into every aspect of what you're doing. Even if you're just doing a little bit once a week, that will move the needle. You will progress. But if you can do a little bit every day, it's even better. So that's 3 things that I do to help deal with distractions. What are some of the biggest things that distract you from sculpting miniatures, or other challenges you have in that vein? I would love to hear them down in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel, and it gets you a chance to hear more of this content to help you realize your dream of sculpting miniatures. Until next time, keep sculpting.